Jacob stared out of the hotel window, his reflection barely visible against the pale grey sky. Across the narrow street, an old brick building loomed, its windows dark and empty. The city felt quieter than before, its usual hum muted beneath the weight of his thoughts. He couldn't stop thinking about her, the way she had looked at him, not with curiosity, not with fear, but with recognition, a silent confirmation that what he had seen was real, that he wasn't losing his mind. The thought took root, growing stronger with each passing hour. She knew something. She had to, and he needed to find her. The day passed in a blur of motion, a slow walk through the park, where the skeletal branches of leafless trees reached toward the sky like broken fingers. A ride on the tram, the city sliding past in shades of grey and brown. The people inside, silent, lost in their own worlds. Another walk through the streets, scanning faces, searching for a sign of her. Nothing. The city felt endless. An intricate maze where time blurred and the streets all began to look the same. The more he searched, the more he felt the weight of unseen eyes. Something just beyond his reach, observing, waiting. He retraced his steps, revisited the streets where he had seen her, stood at the exact spot where their eyes had met. But she was gone. His frustration grew. The logical part of him knew it was absurd. Riga was a city of hundreds of thousands, and she was just one person. But the way she had looked at him, the certainty in her eyes, it wouldn't let him go. He found himself analyzing the moment again and again. Her smirk, the way she had faded into the crowd as if she had never been there at all. He should have been able to follow her, but he hadn't, and that terrified him more than he wanted to admit. Jacob kept walking, his pulse quickening with every block. He wasn't sure where he was going anymore, only that he had to keep moving. He checked reflections in shop windows, hoping for a glimpse of her bright hoodie, her unmistakable presence. Nothing. The city felt heavier than before, its quiet pressing down on him. The weight of it settled deep in his chest. The more he searched, the more he felt like he was chasing something that didn't want to be found. Jacob felt it before he could understand it. A pull, subtle at first, then undeniable. It wasn't a thought, not a decision, but something deeper, something instinctual. His body moved on its own, each step carrying him toward a direction he hadn't chosen. Yet, the farther he walked, the more certain he became that this was exactly where he needed to go. The streets blurred into a pattern he couldn't decipher, but they no longer felt random. Every turn, every crossing seemed preordained, as if an invisible hand was guiding him through the city. He didn't know what waited for him at the end of this path, only that it was important, urgent. A part of him tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was exhaustion, stress, the weight of unanswered questions pressing down on his mind. But that part of him was drowned out by the overwhelming certainty that something was ahead, something that had been waiting for him long before he ever set foot in this city. What Jacob couldn't know, what he couldn't yet imagine, was that his path was leading him towards Samantha, that the same woman who had shattered his fragile sense of reality was still out there, waiting, watching. And when their paths finally crossed again, everything he thought he understood about the world would come undone.